It's me, Robin, with Simple Food, Simple Life. Hello. I'm in the kitchen today, and since you're with me in the kitchen, let's make some food. You know what? I'm going to be making some treats to have over Christmas and possibly into the new year. Just kind of depends on how long things last. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some cupcakes. Now, I've got this classic white cake mix from Aldi, and so I'm going to make that. And I've got my cupcake tin prepared, and I've got my oven preheating to 350. And so I'm going to get this mixed up. Now then, here's the thing with this. This is a white cake mix, and it says 5 egg whites. What? Do I look like Mrs. Gotrocks? No, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the amount of water required, and it says a half a cup of vegetable oil. However, I'm not going to use 5 egg whites. I'm going to use 2 whole eggs. Will the cake mix be quite as white or even white? Well, maybe not. It might be yellow, but that's fine. I really don't care. Okay, let me get this mixed up. Okay, I put 2 eggs in, 2 whole eggs. I put a half a cup of avocado oil because that's what I've got. And I put 1 1/4 cup of water because those are the directions. Now I'm going to take this over to the side where my outlet is, and I'm going to use a mixer on this and get it all beat up. Okay, it's all mixed up. Now, some of you, I'm sure, are thinking, why in the world is this woman showing us how to mix up a cake mix? We all know how to mix up a cake mix. Well, some people really don't know, and why not show you that I'm going to use a cake mix? It's just a fact of life. If any of you never use a cake mix, I want you to comment. I want you to tell me that you never use a cake mix ever, and it is abhorrent to you, and you only make cakes from scratch. If that's the case, I want to know, because you are a rare person in the 21st century. Okay, and this cake mix was pretty cheap. So I've got my handy dandy ice cream scoop here, and I'm going to use that to measure out the cupcakes. So here we go. Just as simple as that. That way they'll all be even. And, well, this is a little less messy, actually. So I'm going to fill up I only have 1 cupcake pan, or muffin tin, whatever you want to call it. And this is supposed to make 24 cupcakes, although I don't know, it rarely comes out that way, but we'll see. Anyway, they are supposed to take 16 to 21 minutes, I believe, to bake at 350 degrees on the middle rack. So I'm going to continue to fill these, and then I'm going to pop them in the oven. I'll set it for 16 minutes on the timer, and then I'll test them after 16 minutes and see how they are. And the way I test them, I just put a toothpick in the center. If it comes out clean, we're good to go. All right, we'll be back. Okay, these cupcakes are nicely done. I tested them with a toothpick. Another way to test is when you touch them, they should spring back. So I'm going to let these sit for just a minute or 2 in the pan, and then I'm going to set them out on this cooling rack, reline the cupcake tin with some new papers, and I'm going to fill the rest of them up, and I'm going to use the rest of the cake mix. Okay, these are on the rack cooling, and they're easy to take out. Just get a little fork under there and lift them, and then take them out with your fingers. It works fine. This is a very light cake, by the way. Not light in calories, light in weight. Now, remember I said that I've never I've never been able to get 24 cupcakes out of a cake mix, even though it says you can do 24. I have 19. So these are going to go in the oven. And, but honestly, I've never gotten 24 cupcakes out of a cake mix. Maybe you have. Maybe you use a smaller tin. I don't know. So anyway, this is going to go in for 16 minutes. 16 minutes was perfect, and we'll be back. I want to show you this. These are cupcake holders or muffin holders that I bought at Dollar Tree when Dollar Tree was still Dollar Tree and not $1.25 and whatever else other price we decide to put on our products tree. And so this is it is actually a cupcake carrier. I have 2 of them. They each hold 9, so that should work out okay. And they have these snap-on lids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when these cool down appropriately, I'm going to set them in the carrier and snap the lid on. They have to be completely cooled. And I'm going to snap the lid on. I'm going to wrap the carrier up in some foil, and then I'm going to pop them in the freezer. This is really a handy little thing. It actually protects them and keeps them from getting knocked around. Although, there is another way that you can freeze them if you want to, and I'll tell you about that soon. Okay, these cupcakes are done, and I have 19 cupcakes. But between these 2 carriers, they hold 18 cupcakes. But that's okay. If you don't have something like this to store your cupcakes in and put them in the freezer until you're ready to use them, you can take your cupcakes and you can freeze them individually. I just lay them out on a rack or a pan, slide them in the freezer until they're frozen solid, and then you can, I have a quart bag here, but you can take a freezer bag and slide them in the freezer bag and seal them up and lay them flat, unhindered, until you're ready to use them. And you can see that even with a quart bag, you can fit 4 cupcakes, frozen cupcakes, into the bag, and they will not get damaged. Just make sure that you lay them flat and that nothing is piled on top of them, and they will be just fine. Now, why have I made these cupcakes ahead of time and not frosted them? Because when the time comes to use them, I'm going to take them out. I can thaw them and frost them. We might use vanilla, which is my preference, or chocolate. So we can put different flavors of frosting and decorations if we want to on the cupcakes. When it's closer to Christmas or New Year's or whatever holiday or dinner you're planning for. These are awesome. They're so much easier to serve than just cake or cutting up the cake and putting it on a plate. These are just much, much easier. And the cake mix doesn't cost very much. It was really pretty inexpensive. So that's how I'm going to do the cupcakes now. I think I did say before that I'm going to pop the lids on these, then I'm going to wrap them up in some foil before I put them in the freezer. That'll give them another layer of protection because these really aren't necessarily freezer containers. Okay? All right, now I have one more thing I want to show you, which is going to be very economical and so delicious. And you probably already have the ingredients in your house, but everyone's going to love them. I'm going to show you one of my favorite cookie recipes. Okie doke. Thanks for sticking with me. The next thing we're going to make is crisp. These are called crisp sugar cookies. I have been using this recipe since the 1970s. As some of you may know, I really don't enjoy making cookies. I never have. I make them, but I don't really enjoy it. I think for me it's because most recipes call for creaming the butter, the sugar. I don't care for it. So this recipe is part of a series of recipes I found in the Ladies' Home Journal in the 1970s. And I love this method of preparing cookies. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, in the big bowl is 2 1/4 cups of flour and 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a pinch of salt. That's all that's in there. You can sift it or you can use your whisk and just make sure that it's mixed up very well. Now in this saucepan, you can use the microwave if you want to. I like to use the saucepan. I've got 2 sticks of, this is actually Imperial. Now, the old recipe, because it was the 1970s, called for margarine. When I can afford it, I use butter. But with the price of butter right now, I happen to have some Imperial margarine, so I'm going to use 2 sticks of Imperial margarine, which is equal to 1 cup. So you need sorry, I had to stop for a second. I'm only supposed to use 1 stick of butter or margarine. So I had to quickly remove one of the sticks because I only need 1/2 cup of margarine or butter, and this needs to be melted. So that's what I'm doing. And this is one of the reasons why this cookie recipe is so easy to do. That is if you're not being silly and putting in an extra stick of butter when you don't need to. Hello. Okay. So I'm going to get this melted down. And in with this melted butter or margarine, I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar into the melted fat or margarine or butter. And we're going to just stir that in there. And we're also going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla. Which just smells awesome, by the way. And we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of milk. So you can see what's happening here. The dry ingredients are in the bowl. All the wet ingredients, including the butter, is melting in the pan. So we're going to get that going there. Make sure that our butter is melted. And the next thing we're going to add in is, after we make sure the butter is melted, we're going to add in two beaten eggs, which is right here. Okay, now then, because I don't want my eggs to curdle or start cooking in the warm butter, I'm just tempering them by pouring in the hot mixture into the eggs, giving it a quick stir, and then I'm going to pour it into the butter. We have to get that stirred up. So, and I've turned my heat off. So it's the butter and the sugar. Now, as I said, you can do this in the microwave. That is not a problem. All right. All right, now then, I'm going to pour this in our dry mixture. You see why I like this? It's really easy. You don't have to get out your mixer. You don't have to cream together butter, sugar, etc. The ingredients are very simple. You probably have these ingredients in your house. Now, this dough, it'll form into a cookie dough. It's going to be warm. That's okay. But all we need to do, if we were going to try to bake this right away, bake these cookies right away, which I'm not, all we would need to do is put this in the refrigerator for 20-30 minutes and it would solidify, and then we can bake them. Now, the instructions say to put them on a greased cookie sheet, 1 teaspoon or a tablespoon, depending on the size of your cookies, and then press them down with a sugared glass. What's a sugared glass? It's simply a glass that is wet on the flat side of the glass and dipped in sugar. If you want to, you can use different colors of sugar. I just use regular sugar because my intention is to frost these when the time comes to bake them. See how easy that is? So easy. So good. Now that is it. Now then, I'm going to put this in the freezer. You know how you go in the grocery store and you buy a bowl of, in the refrigerated section, you can buy a bowl of cookie dough? Toll House has bowls of cookie dough. It's in the refrigerated section. You can actually freeze them if you want to, but they're just cookie dough. And it's already prepared. You take it home. You bake them according to the instructions. That's what I'm actually doing here. I am going to bake these when the time comes according to the instructions, but in the meantime, I'm going to put them in this bowl. I'm going to let it cool in the refrigerator, and then I'm going to pop this in the freezer. Now, I will take it out of the freezer about 24 hours before I want to bake them. And then I can bake them perfectly fine. If you were to buy the dough in the store like this, it's kind of costly, or in the rolls, you get them in the rolls unless you can get a good buy on them. These can be costly, but these ingredients are really simple. You can do them yourself, and in actuality, it's pretty easy, pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to put that in this container. Now, it's all ready to go. I'm going to freeze them, take it out 24 hours ahead of time, thaw it out in the fridge, and bake them up. Now then, the instructions say you are to bake them at 350 degrees for 8 to 12 minutes. I have found 12 minutes works pretty good. And then you cool them on a rack, and that's it. Now, these are delicious frosted, or you can use colored sugar and sugar them with your sugared glass, or just use plain sugar. It really doesn't make any difference. They are absolutely delicious. You can make them as festive as you want, and you can put them in the little party bags that you get at Dollar Tree, and you can distribute them to friends and family, or just make maybe a basket of cookies. They're really, they are really, really delicious. Okay, so the lid's going to go on this. I'm going to put this in the fridge, and we're good to go. All right? Okay, that's it for me today. I love you guys. You know I do. As always, you know that little is much when God is in it. For your convenience, I will put the recipe for these crisp sugar cookies in the description box, okay? So you can go to that. You can copy it and paste it for yourself, whatever you want to do. And you can use this recipe yourself anytime you want. Okay? All right. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope this helps you. And I hope you realize that you don't really have to spend a lot of money. It can be very inexpensive and wholesome and old-fashioned and delicious. Okay, love ya. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.